Do the Dallas Mavericks have the best two-way player in the NBA? Andrew from Angle here. I'm joined by Braxton. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, so Braxton, we're first obviously going to focus on the phenom right now that is Ryan Nembhard, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Dallas Mavericks too. This is kind of a new series we spontaneously come up with where we're just going to look at a specific team and see what kind of dynasty and fantasy value they have right now. Just have a conversation about some of their players. If this goes well, we'll maybe continue to do it for some other teams. So, give me your thoughts right now, focusing on, well, obviously they have the number one pick, but the talk of the town right now is Ryan Nembhard. Let's talk a little bit about him.
Did you just call the 5'11" Ryan Nembhard the best two-way player, one of the best two-way players in the league, or did I misunderstand your intro? Was it supposed to be about, who is that about?
That's Ryan Nembhard.
Two-way? Okay, all right, fair enough.
He is a two-way player.
I understand. Oh, two-way, like the contract, not offensive.
Yeah, he's a two-way contract player.
Christ. Okay, I'm with you now. Oh my God. I was like, this guy can't guard anybody. Okay. No, he's been awesome. I'm not gonna talk about how much I hate D'Angelo Russell this year, but his struggles have really allowed Nembhard to kind of get this opportunity. And Brandon Williams has been awesome as well, right? But clearly they wanted kind of a spark on this offense. The Cooper Flag point guard experiment wasn't really going the way that they wanted to. Not to say that he's not going to handle the ball a ton, right? But they're like, okay, we need an actual point guard on the floor. Is it Ryan Nembhard? There was some talk about him coming into this season. There was some hype around him. Didn't really play the first few games. And then just out of nowhere, had some really nice stat lines recently with double-digit assists, double-digit points, right? And he's looking like he might be a real player for this Dallas Mavericks team. And he's quickly getting scooped up in fantasy leagues. I think it's pretty hard, or not hard, but it's not very common about this deep into the season. You see a hot pickup like this, I think, without like a major injury or something, kind of just coming out of nowhere like this. Maybe that's recency bias or something, but this feels to me like one of those early season hype pickups for Nembhard, and I'm all on the hype train. Unfortunately, I missed out. I didn't get any shares, but he's somebody who I think is going to have a pretty massive role on this Mavs team at minimum until Kyrie is back, and I think. He looks awesome, and I don't know how much more I can say. I mean, he's with this season going south for them very quickly, especially with Anthony Davis. He's definitely someone they're going to think about prioritizing. I think over the last 2 weeks, over 2 threes per game, 14 points, 7.4 assists. Shooting 58% from the field. I don't know if that's going to stick, right? And he hasn't gotten the line once over the last 2 weeks, which is, just to keep in mind, this is only a 5-game sample size. But that's not why you're rostering him, right? You're rostering for the points, you're rostering for the assists, and it's delivering so far. So, but Andrew, I know you were very in on him coming into the draft. You knew a lot more about him. You guys in some of our rookie videos leading up to the fantasy season, I believe we had one where we talked about some second rounders, and Ryan Nembhard was somebody that I think Mitch called out as someone that he was pretty excited about coming into the season. So I'd love to hear, is this, again, because I didn't watch him much in college at all, is this the norm for him, or is he just overperforming over the last 5 games?
So definitely have to give the biggest shout out to our other partner at Angle, Mitch, because he was the most on board the Ryan Nembhard trade leading into this year. I liked him too. Mitch and I were both definitely well aware that he was arguably the best passer in college basketball last year. Yes, you can try to be like, he comes from the Nembhard bloodline, but then Cody Williams exists to completely disrupt the brother bloodline working out in the NBA.
You don't like Cody Williams?
So, yeah. Well,
you don't think it's going to pay off?
Maybe I can use Thanasis as an example instead.
Sure.
Maybe we can go with him. But it seems like both Nembhard brothers actually can ball. So the stat set that he's putting up right now is extremely similar to what he was doing in college. He was actually a 10 assist player in college. And, I'm watching some highlights. The moves he's going for reminds me a lot of what he's doing. So he's playing to his strengths right now. He's a good mid-range game going right now, similar to his brother, actually. Very, very, very solid handle. Doesn't really do much on defense, unfortunately. But like you mentioned, that's not why you have him. You mostly have him for that scoring upside because he does have that great touch, great shot IQ. And the biggest selling point is obviously the assists here. So, with him, especially for a redraft league, a super hot pickup right now. But let's talk dynasty for a second. If you're in a dynasty league and you've had Ryan Nembhard on your roster since, June or July, it's most likely because you're in a deep dynasty league that had a second round to its draft. Leading into the, the real rookie draft, post real rookie draft, leading into when majority of fantasy or dynasty rookie drafts were going to take place. Us, Mitchell especially, were very high on Nembhard because we did foresee this situation of Kyrie is hurt. We know that D'Lo is D'Lo. So there really wasn't much point guard depth behind him. And even there was a situation where there wasn't any point guard depth and they signed Nembhard to the two-way contract I don't think he got drafted. So they get him on the two-way contract, and then we're like, oh wow, there's a huge role there. Then they signed D'Lo shortly after that, and then most of us were like, we're still not worried about that. And so far, that's proving to be the case. With Nembhard, though, for Dynasty, obviously if you got him in the second round, or potentially even off your waiver wire if you were lucky enough to get him there, that's a huge W for you right now. Getting any type of value out of the second round, especially if we're talking, you probably got him at like pick 40, pick 45 or something.
Can I just clarify? Can I just clarify real quick? You're saying I understand what you're saying, but just to clarify, I think you mean in a draft where second rounders are getting picked, not necessarily a draft
right.
that
If you're
has
in a deeper league, like I was alluding to earlier, like people in a 12-team league, in a 12-team dynasty league, even like a 16-team dynasty league, Ryan Nembhard was not on your radar during your rookie draft. Your rookie draft likely ended somewhere in the first round range of the real draft. You probably drafted like 25, 30-ish players, and that was it. Whereas for people in those 30-team types of leagues, we do have picks going into the 40s, 50s, and 60s of rookies getting drafted. Those are the leagues, dynasty leagues, that have likely had Ryan Nembhard rostered since June, July. Other than that, no one's probably really known much about him until these last week or so.
Sure.
So for those dynasty managers, again, congratulations. Hold on at this point. You do have a little bit of a sell high window right now, but the one thing I need to caution you of is the two-way contract status. As I alluded to in the beginning of the video, following by Braxton's confusion, is he is on a two-way contract. He can only play 50 games, and the Mavericks actually have to go through kind of significant financial hurdles to convert him to a full-way contract or full-size contract.
And we saw that last year with Brandon Williams, right?
True.
Down the stretch. Kai Jones as well. They had some major issues getting those guys. Who's the other one? Kessler Edwards. They wanted to have super involved. So hopefully that's not an issue they run into. And sorry, I'll let you finish your thought. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. But that does present that potential issue. Obviously, that issue remains for this year. If they do choose somehow to get him to a full contract, maybe they make some kind of trade and then they have the room to bring him in. Because right now we're talking luxury tax implications to move him onto a full contract. And that's not something that I think the Mavericks are going to go for at this point in time. And like you alluded to earlier, there is the looming possibility of Kyrie Irving coming back. So is Nembhard a potential bridge gap option until Irving comes back, serves majority of his 50-game contract, and then we don't see him a ton in February onwards? That's a possibility that I do just want to introduce you to. And if that does happen, if you're watching this video about Ryan Nembhard in February, do not drop him. Just keep him for next year. He's more than likely going to be moved on to a full contract. Think about like a Scottie Pippen Jr. type of example. He hung around on a two-way for like 3 years, not even a two-way for some of those years, and is one of the better backup point guards when healthy, of course. I know he's not playing right now, and has a full-size contract right now. That full-size contract is coming for Nembhard eventually.
And I mean, there was really aggressive timelines for Kyrie coming into the season, talking about when he would play. I think there was some even
Yeah.
talking about around Thanksgiving before the season started. Obviously, or was it New Year's or thing? Something ridiculous for Kyrie. But the Mavs are 8-15 now, and it's if they continue to slide, especially with the injury issues that AD has had, and seemingly headed for a divorce. The Mavs owner has acknowledged that they messed up. He didn't really know much about basketball. Is my understanding from what I've read when that trade got made last year. That he doesn't seem like there's not really a sunk cost here for him, right? He's going to kind of do what it takes to make it right. They have Cooper Flag. So does that mean they kind of head into a downward trajectory? Do they move off of Anthony Davis? I mean, if you have Nembhard, that's great news, right? If they
Yeah.
move off AD. And just on that two-way contract status part, him missing a lot of games early in the season could pay off, especially down the stretch, in terms of the
True.
amount of games
That
that he's
two-way
allowed to play.
status is pretty fresh. It's not like he's played 22 games and is
Right.
halfway through his remaining games. We're talking pretty fresh contract to work with right here.
And he was signed early in the season too, so it's not, or before the season rather, so it's not a prorated contract either. So as long as he doesn't hit that 50 game threshold, they won't run into any issues just as is. And I just want to reiterate, like you said, this does not seem like a sell high moment to me, unless you can get something stupid for him, maybe somebody established. But a lot of people, when they see players pop like this, try to get like kind of cute and be like, I got to cash in right now because I don't think it's real. But that's how you miss out on guys like Ryan Rollins. That's how you miss out on guys like Colin Gillespie, right? Who, from all from all signs are pointing to those two being real, right? And why can't Ryan Nembhard do the same thing? He's got this awesome fantasy game. He's got the assist rate, through the roof. He's scoring. I don't know if we saw this scoring coming from the 5'11" guy on the Mavs team with guys like Cooper
Right.
Flag and all these other, shooters who you would think but he's so aggressive out there too. He's taking those shots that you would think maybe he's just gonna go out and pass the ball and he'll score 4 points a game and have 6 assists or something like that. But he's not doing that at all. I originally thought when he first entered the rotation that okay, maybe this is like a Jamal Shed type situation where the assists are really nice, but there's no scoring to speak of. But the scoring has been there, right? So
Right.
this could be legit from Ryan Nembhard. I don't want to jump the gun. I mean, I know it's been 5 games, but he's looked so good in those 5 games, and the Mavs need to spark so bad, and that's why they gave Kyrie, or not Kyrie, D'Angelo Russell that money to come in and be that point guard that they needed, and he hasn't been at all. And Nembhard has directly been cutting into Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams' last 2 games only played about 13 minutes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Brandon Williams. He's looked awesome as well, but they're really giving Ryan Nembhard a look here, and he is gonna do everything he can to not have it just be a brief look, and it's paying off for them thus far. Maybe not in terms of wins, but just his impact on the floor. So
Yeah. So, we can look a little bit more into just the dynasty value that is within Dallas right now. So obviously the focus of the video that we wanted to open on was Nembhard just because he's a hot topic right now. But there's a little bit more going on in Dallas as well. So last point on Nembhard. We generally do a top 300 dynasty rank update. The total on the list itself will be like 320-ish or lower. I can't remember off the top of my head if Nembhard was in our October update. If he's not, definitely expect him in the next update that we do. Potentially even top 250. So for sure, value him as a top 300, potentially top 250 asset moving forward if you are in a deep dynasty league. Now, obviously the Mavericks do have the most prized asset in regards to a rookie from this rookie class in dynasty basketball. They got Cooper Flag, who is actually in our dynasty top 10 right now. Cooper Flag looks great. He is actually really thriving lately because of playing with Ryan Nembhard. I guess we're going to continue to talk about Ryan Nembhard a little bit anyways. But
what's not to like?
what's not to like? What's not to like? And Cooper Flag agrees too. Like literally the quote I saw from him, it was like, he makes the game so much easier and he's just a great person. So maybe Ryan and Cooper Flag are best friends now, since they are the two rookies of the team. They got to go through the hazing together, So maybe that's got them to grow a little bit closer. But you can potentially see a lot more just heavy usage on them because back to the Dallas situation of being 8-15, this year is their last fully owned, no swap rights or any pick for quite some time. I think it's not until it gets to 2030, I believe. They have no 2027 first round pick. Their 2028 first round pick has swap rights from OKC, who will probably be using that. 2029 has swap rights from Houston as well, who's also going to be a lot better than them. And then they get an unprotected first from the Lakers in 2029. So yeah, there's a lot of swap right actions happening after this year. So this is their last chance to have full control over a tank if
Yep.
they wanted to.
They might not even need to try to do that though, right? They might be just, I mean, they are bad organically, and um, with the lottery odds how they are, you really just need to get like sixth or seventh, and you have a pretty decent chance at first, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
not even first, but like a top four pick. Oh, sorry for hitting the
Well,
mic
I mean,
there.
one thing we can talk about is there is another top, let's call him a top 30 dynasty asset, first or second round redraft asset on this Mavericks team who is
Yep,
actually active and playing right now, and that's Anthony Davis.
yep.
Is this just a showcase to show that he's healthy so that they can trade him? Are the Mavericks potentially serious that they do want to try to win for the rest of the year? I mean, technically speaking, they do have some time to try to make things work, especially when you have some teams from last year's playoffs, like the Clippers, who are probably not going to return to the playoffs again. There's a little bit more room to squeeze in there at the end. So, do let's go with this. Do you think that there is enough time for the Mavericks to potentially squeeze into the play-in if AD at least puts up like 55 games and we get a Kyrie return? And I don't think the aggressive, pre-New Year's timeline is going to happen, but maybe we get like a mid-January return or something for Kyrie. Is there a little bit of time to turn it around for them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm gonna factor in the owner kind of owning this mistake a lot here and being willing to move off Anthony Davis, even though they invested so much to grab him. I do think Anthony Davis has a strong possibility of getting traded this year. I think, and part of it is the reason you just said, where they still own their own first this year. They can pretty easily make a run for that 10th seed and get in the play-in, but the goal was, what was the quote from Nico, that like they're a finals team with AD
Yeah,
or something like that.
like a finals or bust team or something like
They
that.
needed that they needed somebody to get them over the hump or something stupid like that. This is clearly it's not there. Derek Lively, I think, was just reported today that he's been missing significant time. There's no
Yes, yeah.
timetable on him.
Let's switch the conversation to him for a brief moment here. So obviously we have AD. We were just talking about him. If he gets traded, that's great because hopefully if he gets traded, that means it's to a team who's trying to win still and doesn't have perhaps incentive to shut him down. If you're trading
Right.
for AD, that's usually the reasoning behind it is like, all right, let's use him to help us win some games. But now moving on to one of the more prized rookies they got recently, someone that the dynasty community was very high on, and at least in this recent points rank update that Mitchell and I did, which will be coming out soon for free on our website, by the way, Lively fell out of the top 100. Obviously, he's more catered to 9 category. He might still be in the top 100 with our next 9 category update, but he did fall out for points leagues. Is this injury proneness starting to be a big concern? I know, what? One thing I'll bring up is Mitchell, who owns Lively in the Angle Dynasty League, tried to hit up Josh from Point Made Basketball, our good friends over there. Follow them if you don't already. And Josh said, who is a Sixers fan, said he is emotionally scarred by big men with foot issues.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
you gotta put some stock into a take like that, especially from somebody in the dynasty community like Josh. So, yeah, are you scared of Lively right now? There's some people like myself who sold high over the summer.
Dude.
Are you worried about Lively right now? Where's that value potentially going? At least even in the center spot in Dallas in general, because it's not like Gafford's doing great either.
Right. Gafford just left last night with an ankle or a foot injury as well. But, Lively is someone I just talked about in the weekly trends video just a few days ago about how, even when he's healthy, I know he had been on a minutes restriction, and this is all moot now because he's injured, but, he's not really producing the way that you want. And the idea was that, and again, he's hurt now. so it didn't work. But they were going to be so careful with him that he would probably stay on that minutes restriction for way longer than would be viable in a fantasy setting, right? And this injury, he's fully a drop in redraft if he wasn't already. His ownership was had been too high. I think he was overdrafted, and we saw it last year that there was a period that where he was playing like 30 minutes per game. Gafford was down to like 12 or 13. And then if you just held on to Gafford, Lively went down with an injury. But before that, we saw Gafford start to take on a little bit of an increased role between the two and it going to a little bit more of an even split. And then, God forbid, when Anthony Davis came into town, it really, really hurt Derek Lively from a fantasy perspective. And I just don't think Lively is going to be that guy that a lot of people thought he was going to be uh, in dynasty leagues, and also I guess redraft. He's a complete non-factor in redraft leagues. But I am very concerned. For me, he's probably. There's no reason to have him inside the top 100. He's got these injury issues. He's not really producing the way that you want when he's on the floor. Had some hope coming into the season that maybe okay, he'll thrive next to AD. Maybe he'll get some good looks, shoot from a high percentage. But one, he wasn't getting enough touches. Again, I know he was on the minutes limit, but he's just not involved in this offense even when he is healthy, despite them being down, Anthony Davis a week or two ago. Najee Marshall, for some reason, getting so many shots. PJ Washington is getting all of these shots that you really want to see some of those touches go to Lively. They were, again, past tense, but they were liking Gafford a lot over Lively. They gave Gafford all that money, and there's just no reason for them to force Lively into anything crazy in the near future. Lively going down with that injury just further reiterates their need to be cautious with him. And I think that I just don't see it changing anytime soon. So major, major concern for me there on Lively.
Yeah, I get that for sure. Here's one story I'll give you that's probably gonna grind your gears a bit. The auction
Great.
draft that I did got into a
Yeah.
bit of a bidding war.
Yeah.
I want to say someone outbid me and took home Lively for $10,
Nice.
and
Nice.
those mid rounds. Could you imagine being that guy who chucked
Yeah, dude.
out $10 at the most valuable time of the draft for Lively for an auction setting?
Yeah, and I love an auction draft. I mean, but we saw guys like Gobert or Hartenstein go in that $10, 8, 9, $10 range. Jared Allen,
Yes.
who I would rather have. And then even like guys like Khalil Ware and Naz Reid, who went for like $4, $5, $6 just by a mile, right? So
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
Gafford, who I believe, I guess the ownership percentage has probably switched a bit now, but it was like a third of the percentage owned that Lively is in Yahoo leagues. I would preferred even coming into the season. I preferred Gafford. He's
Hmm.
15% owned on Yahoo right now, and Gafford has looked okay when he's on the floor, but he's hurt again. He is questionable for Friday's game tomorrow, which is probably when you're hearing this. So I guess you'll know if he played or not. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't Lively long term is I don't like it.
I know it's tough, and um, with that being said, we'll see if Lively remains in our top 100 or not for our next nine category update. But I can confirm for points leagues, he is no longer in the top 100. So a bit of a mixed bag in regards to the youth in Dallas right now. Things going very well for Cooper Flag, once again, top 10 dynasty asset, and Ryan Nembhard, they're two rookies. Not going so well for another recent draft pick in Derek Lively. Sad for me, I was really high on him coming even out of high school. I've been following him for a bit. But let's talk about a veteran on the Mavericks who things have been going honestly pretty well for. His best ability so far this year is availability, which, contrary to the point, he is hurt as of right now. But former Hornet Braxton, PJ Washington. Do you like this scoring lead that you see out of him? He's at like 18 points per game right now. I mean, can you agree he's capable of handling an upper scoring load like this?
Yeah, dude, PJ is the ultimate like guy that like if everyone else is injured, he's gonna put up like some insane stat line. And he's been doing it all season this year. He's only 44% owned in Yahoo leagues, which is absurd to me just because he has the ability to contribute anywhere. Even when he's on the floor, he's passing the ball. He can rack up 5 assists pretty easily, right? I don't believe he's averaging close to that. I think it's like in the threes or maybe the two. Anyways, but he has like that up. He's not somebody who can't do that. Like he's not like a big that isn't able to pass, I guess I should say. There are nights where he's able to get 3, 4, 5 assists pretty easily. The steals are there, the blocks are there, and he's just going to take as many shots as they need him to because they need the scoring punch when they're missing all these guys, and they've been missing a lot of guys a lot of the time this season, including him right now, like you said. So he is able to put the ball on the floor. I don't know if for those who haven't watched PJ Washington much, he's not just a shooter. He has some kind of an offensive bag. He only busts it out when, like I said, he turns into that kind of de facto first option. But when a healthy team kind of really, really hurts his upside. So if you're thinking about selling high on someone, maybe wait till PJ comes back and then thinking about selling him if he has a few games that are pretty good next to AD. I think there's a potential sell high scenario there. Or I guess if people are still undervaluing him the way that they are in redraft leagues right now, maybe he's a good buy. It can kind of go both ways. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, he should be rostered in like a 12-team redraft, 12-team dynasty. Definitely must roster in both of those scenarios at this moment in time. And he's always one of those guys who maybe was on the outskirts of being rostered or not in 12-teamers, but definitely, like you said, when there's injuries, he's one of those reliable ones to step up in that scenario. And perhaps, especially because he just got locked into that long-term contract, perhaps the stars like AD and Kyrie either, well, in AD's case, potentially get traded. Kyrie's case probably just won't see the floor a ton this year as he recovers from that ACL tear. Those are probably the main two candidates I would see being held out. You leave one veteran on the floor, PJ Washington, to work alongside with the future of the franchise, Cooper Flagg. You got Ryan Nembhard in there. The other future of the franchise is going to be whoever's coming in 2026. PJ's still relatively young as well, so I like him being kind of the leader of the tank team at the end of the year, if that's the direction that Dallas goes in. Sure. Another veteran that things are going well for, I'll just do a quick tangent on him here, is Najee Marshall. But that's someone who's just, going to be a reliable streamer in a 12-team league. Probably still, I think he is pretty close to the top 200 of our dynasty ranks, maybe like top 225, something around there, because he's just a good, reliable veteran. Yeah, and he does have that well-rounded stat set. I know he's not the most exciting guy in the world, which is probably why he's not in the top 200 for us, but definitely a solid veteran to have on your squad. So before we start to wrap this up about the Dallas Mavericks, kind of just the dynasty fantasy value on the team, I'm going to ask you two questions. Mm-hmm. You can give me quick answers to both. Number one, Is D'Angelo Russell fully cooked?
Yes, he was cooked coming into the year. I talked about him in week 1 about, okay, don't buy into what he's doing right now. He sucks. I dropped him after 2 games in my redraft league, and then he had a couple big games and I was like, oh my God, he's back. He's not back. He sucks. His basketball IQ is just not there, and he has to be one of the top options to put up fantasy stats. So, no.
All right, then. Now, next question. Prediction. When does Kyrie Irving return?
I think it's got to be like mid-January. I think he's going to be limited all season in terms of just missing back-to-backs, and definitely going to be on a minutes restriction soon after he return, or going to be on a minutes restriction for quite a bit after he returns, I should say. So, what was the question? When do I think he returns? Mid-January, but I don't know how viable he's going to be from a fantasy perspective, just in terms of, is he someone you can count on every night? Is he going to get up to that 36, 37-minute range this year? Probably not, right? Why would they need to push him in potential lost season, especially if they trade Anthony Davis? But so I guess his potential to sit and maybe be limited would be good news for somebody like Ryan Nembhard or some of these other guys that we mentioned.
Yeah, and obviously looked at Dallas as a silly season candidate, some of those guys on Exhibit 10 contracts or whatever, at the end of the year, especially if they do start reaching the limits of that Nembhard two-way deal. So that's going to close it out for us today. That's just a dynasty and fantasy discussion on the Dallas Mavericks. So this is kind of a new series that we're trying, like I said. So if it's interesting to you and you want to hear us talk about your team, just talk about where the players on your team are at in the dynasty fantasy realm right now. If you want us to highlight a specific player on your team, definitely drop into the comments and let us know. You can check out this video right here. It's going to be covering Austin Reeves, or you can check out what YouTube is suggesting for you right here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.